Today I want to show off what my project is in its current state. So I still have some things that I want to implement going forward into the future. Actually, I have a lot of things that I want to implement for this project going forward into the future. But I wanted to take some time today to actually showcase, okay, well, let's look at what it is in its current state and see all of the things that it has done and can do right now. Because I feel like as of today, it has reached kind of this minimal viable product where it does showcase working functionality. Now, to go back to what the point of this project even was, at the very beginning, I said it isn't supposed to be useful. It is not trying to do useful work. What it is trying to do is demonstrate competency within those important back-end software engineering skills. So I looked to see, okay, what is important within back-end software engineering? And from that, I was able to curate a list of different skills that I thought were very important within back-end software engineering. Very narrow, trying to target into exactly what I am hoping to be able to get into. So I said, okay, here's my list of all of these different skills that I need. And so this project allowed me to be able to practice those and also demonstrate, okay, well, here is some level of proof that yes, okay, I do have core competencies in these concepts. So the overall project will looks like this, okay? So there's some things that I haven't implemented yet. So for example, this part where the user actually logs in, that's not in yet, okay? But overall, we have the client side here. And what the client is able to do is they are able to send a request to this API gateway. So the API gateway is in JavaScript. I use Node.js and Express. So this microservice is able to give the user the EJS files, and they are able to fill out a form of data that they want to send back to this API gateway. And they are able to send requests to either consume items or to supply items, okay? So that is what the client is seeing. They're rendered an EJS file, and from that file on their client-side browser, they're able to fill in that information and then send a post request to my my server running the Node.js here. Okay, cool. So this is the API gateway. Now what the API gateway does is it looks at what the request is from the client. And then based off of that, it either sends that data to the consumer resource or the supply resource. Now, both of these are separate microservices. Both of them are written in Java, specifically Spring Boot. So both of these separate microservices have interaction with this database here, which this is a MongoDB database. So they are able to add items to the supply inventory or take items away from the supply inventory. So obviously supplying a resource will mean adding, consuming means taking away. So that is the core functionality of what this project is. Again, it's not meant to be something mind-blowingly novel and super useful. The point is, okay, well, this demonstrates and was a really good way to solidify more in my mind how microservices actually operate, how they communicate with each other. And one thing that I didn't mention is the communication. How is that communication actually occurring? So I had to create another microservice, which is the Eureka server. So all of these separate 1, 2, 3 microservices register themselves with the Eureka server, and based off that, this app or this microservice here, API Gateway, it is able to know who and where this consume resource even is. What's its IP address, what's its port number, etc. And then based off of that, it's able to do a direct HTTP request to this consume resource. Now, or a post request or GET request based off of what the user is trying to perform. So that is the way that these different microservices are able to actually operate. And as I mentioned, this one is in JavaScript, these are in Java. So showing and demonstrating, okay, a mix of technology in the same project. Now, let me go to my Visual Studio and I can load this. Okay, so now I'll just show it off. So I have the front-end service. This is actually the API gateway. This one is developed in the future. But so front-end service is the actual API gateway. Then we have consumer resource and producer resource, and then registry. So let's start firing it up. So let me come into here, and I will first start off with my registry. So this is the Eureka server. So I'll do a Maven W Spring Boot run, and then I'm going to copy this so that I don't have to keep doing that over and over. Okay, so we're going to run that. I ended up misspelling spring. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to copy that and run this. Okay, cool. So I should be able to come to my Eureka server and load this. Here we go. So now we have our Eureka server, and notice no instances are there. That makes sense because we're not running our producer microservice or our front-end microservice or our consumer resource. So let's change that, and let's go in to a new tab, and I'm just going to paste this in. No, I'm not. I am first going to change directories. So let's start by doing our consumer resource and then paste that in. Let it run. All right, so now I'm going to come here, refresh this, and we'll see consumer resource and the local host right there, the actual IP of my local host, and the port number is 8082. Okay, cool. So now let's go fire up the producer microservice. So do that. Let it do its thing. All right. Come in here. There's producer. Now one more microservice that we have to do, which is the front end. Okay, so now this one I said is not Spring Boot. This one is Node.js, so app.js. So we'll let that run. Okay, then refresh this. There we go. We see our producer resource right there. So now we will come here, and this is to our this is from our API gateway. So this is what the front-end microservice is giving to us through the EJS, and now from this we are able to either submit a supply or take a supply. Okay, and let me actually load this one right here, and we'll be able to see. So what this one is it's essentially just a test API endpoint within my consumer resource, and I just did a find all. So what this one does is it just queries the MongoDB database and just gives me all of the information. So this one is all of the items which are in our database currently. Another thing that we could do if we wanted to is we can just reload this Swagger, and then from here we would be able to do, we don't want to do this one right now, we could do just like find all, right? And try it out, execute here, and here is all of our items, right? Okay, so we have two different ways of getting it. But let's go and try to submit a supply. So what supply do we want to do? Let's do something, I'm just going to call it, we have P2 here. Let's make P3. Again, not terribly creative. And let's say 45. We want a 45. Okay, so quantity of 45. So I'm going to submit it. It submitted successfully. Okay, so now let's go here and just refresh this, and we should see P3 with a quantity of 45. So submit that, and yep, sure enough, in our MongoDB database, we now have P3 with a quantity of 45. Okay, well, let's do the opposite transaction. Okay, let's take P3 away. So P3, and then what quantity do we want to do? Let's take away 4. So now we'll have 41. Okay, so we're going to submit that. Okay, and I come here, and now we have 41. So we're able to do that, and it's interacting, as I said, with different microservices. So the consumer resource is able to interact with the exact same database that the producer microservices, and they're able to move this information in and out. So that is the general state of where this project is. I have a lot of ideas of where I want to move forward with this project. So one thing I want to do is be able to actually, I need to write my unit tests, I need to do CI/CD integration testing. Obviously, I want to take this, put it within Docker, would be a nice idea to containerize things. So I have a lot of ideas of where I want to go towards the future, but I did want to take some time to just say, like, okay, well, reflect on the idea that, okay, well, I was able to get to this point and kind of just show it off and say, like, okay, well, it is working. Things are moving along, and kind of just demonstrate where the project is right now. And I'm really happy with it. I'm learning so much in this project about how different microservices interact with each other, how Spring Boot is operating, how Node.js is working. And obviously I've done other videos way in the past before I started this exact project where I was playing with Spring Boot and I was playing with Node.js. But now being able to build one unified kind of project, it's definitely eye-opening and very a really good learning opportunity, especially for someone like me who's coming from the electrical engineering background, and I'm working very much as a low-level hardware kind of embedded systems engineer. It was really nice for me to go and do this project to be able to learn a lot of these concepts and get some hands-on experience with, okay, well, how does all of this actually work? And it was super fascinating. The other thing that I found with doing this project is when I am studying for a lot of the system design kind of topics, all of a sudden I am able to understand what they're talking about significantly more. For example, in the past, before I started this project, they would be talking about, oh, load balancing, and I would be like, what is load balancing? But now, after I've been doing this, it just seems obvious. Well, of course, well, your API gateway, you have microservices that can scale, right? Like I could run this consumer resource multiple times, right? Like I can come here and then, I don't know if I copy and pasted it, but I'm gonna CD back into consumer resource right here, okay? And I'm gonna run it again. So Maven, and then Spring Boot run, okay? I'm gonna run it again. I have 2 instances. Oh, okay, well, it failed right here. But, okay, well, I have a port conflict. So I'll need to fix that. That'll be fine. I can just go and try to dynamically allocate the ports. So there we go. We found a new thing, another thing that needs to be fixed. But what I'm trying to get to is I could run multiple instances of this consumer resource. Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah. obviously I can run it, and then it will have its own IP address and unique port. And based off of that, I have two instances of consumer resource. Well, which one is my API gateway going to send it to, right? Now it just makes intuitive sense. I'm like, well, of course you would need a load balancer because it's not just automatically. Now, obviously, there's a lot of built-in tools that do take care of that under the hood, but now I can have that intuition about, okay, well, why would it be necessary? How is it actually working, right? So that's something that this project has absolutely kind of opened my eyes about and helped me to really understand a lot of those system design questions and or concepts. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, subscribe. As I mentioned, I'm going to be moving forward with this project. I'm going to keep going. I have a lot of ideas of how I want to move forward and make this project better and continue. So if that is interesting, subscribe, join me along on the journey. I'd love to have you. And thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and I will see you guys very soon.